Over at Twin Pine today, I think, the evacuation center is moving forward. I think we're having more and more families check in. They were able to set up a mobile clinic in there and bring in some, as you call, medication cache. There was a doctor there from 8 to 2. I think there'll be a doctor every day from 8 to 2. They've got a lot of nurses and other things, so that was one positive thing that got set up. I know they're working on an animal shelter where we could house small animals there. The Red Cross is currently working on that, and hopefully by tonight we'll have an answer. I think that'll also help some people come in and be able to move over the mountain and bring their small pets with them. We are up and getting some operations at the facility. We got our phone lines back. We're trying to get a little bit of normal back here in our community to help the people have somewhere to go and gather, have something to eat, start to talk with each other. I think a lot of positives are happening with larger animals out at the Browning property. If you got a large animal, you need to house them. You can take them out there. Food and clothing distribution down at the Lions Club has really taken off, and the donations are pretty much overwhelming at this point. But if you need something, that's where you need to go down for your food and your clothing. So a lot of positives and a lot of people digging through the remains of their homes. If you see somebody, stop and talk with them, give them a hug, let them know that we'll get the community back and we're all here for them. So Twin Pine is just happy, and the Middletown Rancheria to help our community and hopefully be leaders. So that's pretty much what's going on right now. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, from my part, that's probably relevant to the local people who will see this as opposed to everyone out of the county. Postal services in Middletown and Hidden Valley are fully serviced right now. There's a fire helpline for people that, for any aspect of this disaster, hopefully they can answer the questions. And what I'm really trying to push right now are people who need housing to call in and let us know what their needs are, and for those who have housing available to call in so that we can match them up. We need to. There's an inventory out there, and I just want to make people aware of this number, and it's 888-565-2787. And also on Thursday at 6 o'clock in the evening, there will be a meeting at the Middletown High School for people who want to rebuild, and also contractors that will come and have their questions answered by local, state, and federal agencies that deal with the building effort, along with the Department of Insurance and the Contractors License Board. The utilities will be there. We'll have the North Coast Builders Exchange representatives there to talk about contractors and how to look for somebody and what exactly they can expect. We'll have people from the insurance industry there, and basically it's being held at the football field because the gym is still being it's got smoke damage, so they're trying to fix that. So it's going to be outside, and that way if anybody has any questions, hopefully those questions can be answered about beginning the road to rebuilding. We're hoping that we have things staffed up to where we can actually start getting building permits and everything as early as the 1st of October. That's what my goal is. I want to impress upon the rest of the world that even though the fires aren't completely out, this isn't 100% contained, we are rebuilding already, and there are signs of that already that are occurring upon Cobb, Middletown, and Hidden Valley, and that's going to continue. It's going to take several years to do, but it's happening, and it's going to continue to happen.
Thank you. I have a follow-up.
Yep.
I'm going to cut this. KPFZ had a guy on the radio saying, the law isn't the law, building codes won't apply.
It's not accurate. It's not accurate. All building codes apply in this situation. What we are telling people is that, if you need a building permit and inspections and you need to pay for all of that, if you don't have insurance, there are other options available. We're not going to penalize people and not give building permits to those who don't have the means to pay for it. The state has stepped in and has been amazing in their response to our needs, and one of those needs is to be able to make sure that we have the money to pay our staff in order to do these things. We can't do it for free, but we will make sure that those that have been damaged and are trying to rebuild aren't penalized because of this disaster. All building codes do apply. In fact, probably more so than ever, because of the need to make sure that structures are done in compliance and this doesn't happen again.
Are there many structures up there that were out of code?
Yes, yes. This community has been built over the last 100 years. And I'm talking about the entire community with the exception of Hidden Valley Lake, which began in the 70s. Cobb and Anderson Springs, probably more so than Middletown because it was a resort community and it was built as resort cabins, a lot of these were, and then they turned into year-round residence. And so, yeah, they are going to be replaced, but to a standard that is more modern and more acceptable to make sure that this community is something that we can all be proud of and not have to worry about substandard conditions.
We had one gentleman who was arrested who somehow snuck into the evacuated area and stole a Jeep, spray painted it white, and was driving around with flat screen TVs, some computer equipment, and other household goods that he had taken from within the residences. Or the reports back of the last 2 nights are that activity in the evacuated areas has gone down drastically. I attribute that to the good work of our deputies and assisting law enforcement agencies patrolling the areas. I attribute that to the fact that we're making the arrest public and letting people know that looters aren't welcome here. We've been through enough, and we won't tolerate it, our community won't tolerate it, and I think the message is getting out there and kind of getting back to normal. The best defense for me against looting is get people back home. And we've really been pushing hard for that here in Hidden Valley Lake especially. It's been the most noticeable, and we're going to continue pushing to get people back home and get these areas repopulated.
When you say several, can you quantify
I don't
that?
have an exact number.
More than 5 or?
5 that I can think of right off the top of my head.
Sheriff, can I follow up?
Yes.
Laura Anthony with Channel 7. Have those looters been people from this immediate area, or are they coming from out of town?
Both. We had a group that came in from the Bay Area, and we've also had some of our locals that have been taking advantage of us.
We'll have time for 2 more questions, and then we're going to break out into sessions after this. Our representatives will be available.
I have a question for Mike Smith. You mentioned that you're going to be repairing the land or rebuilding the land. What are you doing? What specifically does that involve?
Constructing these control lines can be very damaging to the landscape. Oftentimes we begin by using just firefighters with hose lines, which provide a very minimal impact. Typically those hose lines can be followed up with hand crews who physically construct a walking path around the perimeter of this fire. Those walking paths can turn into human traveled paths or animal traveled paths, and we do what we can to eliminate them so that natural routes of egress are reverted back to. But most damaging are the control lines constructed by heavy bulldozers. Oftentimes they create large earthen berms and scar the landscape from a great distance. So those earthen berms are knocked down, and any of those bare soil areas have water bars constructed across them, and vegetation is placed back over them so that coming rains will not cause further damage and change the flow of the landscape.
Thank you.
One more question for the OES people. What about accommodations for housing for folks that maybe don't have RVs? Is there a scenario where we see the Katrina-like RVs come into the area? Is FEMA involved in this at all?
They will be if necessary. What we're working with right now are local hotels and identifying properties that are available for rentals. We have several spots that we've identified as well as the RV and tent sites. Konocti Harbor Resort and Spa has made available 48 rooms with kitchenettes, so those will be very helpful. And the main thing is we're not exactly sure what the need is yet because several people found their own forms of housing, and so we're trying to identify those who don't want to continue living with relatives or friends but need their own space. So we're working diligently to try to match the people up with the need with those who actually have housing available. Once we've determined that, if there is a further need, FEMA will come in and assist us as well.
We're going to break into less formal breakout sessions now. In closing, we'd like to extend sincere thanks to the Big Valley Rancheria and the Middletown Rancheria for significant support efforts, not only for their own tribal members, but for the county at large.
Maria, I have a question for the group. There's been a lot of local interest specifically in the community of John Jensen Lake County News. Local people are very interested in the community of Cobb and surrounding neighborhoods. Can somebody speak to the outlook for that region?
once repopulation occurs, that's where, just like Hidden Valley and Middletown, will begin the rebuilding process. There's a lot of work to do up there, a lot of trees to take down, a lot to do to get ready for winter, to make sure that erosion control methods are in place. And other than that, I'm not sure exactly what specifics you're looking for.
Well, the other day, a timeline was given out of at least a week, and I wonder if anybody was able to approach a closer.
As far as repopulation?
As far as
I'm
repopulation.
unable to give that information. CAL FIRE is working diligently with utility companies, and since Highway 175 goes through that area, we also have Caltrans and several other granite construction and other agencies up there that are trying to make it passable and get the utilities in before it's crowded with people to where nothing can get done, and there's just too many people to accomplish what we need to get done. We can get it done in days if they're up there by themselves, or we can get it done in weeks if it's crowded with people, so that we choose to get it done in a matter of days. And I appreciate the patience and understanding that the folks of Cobb have had up to this point, and so far the reception on that has been overwhelming as far as folks wanting to be able to get it done and then get in there and beginning to rebuild our lives.
Thank you.
We will now break out into sessions. If you have other further questions of any of us, we'll be happy to answer those.
5,000.